Hi everyone, I'm sorry for being late. I hope that everything is okay. You see my webcam, you have the stream. Let me just do something quickly. Okay. Then hello everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. I don't know where you're located. I think it's fine. It seems that everything is working on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Then first of all, I'm Thomas Roussel. I'm from Pixology. Then I'm trying to be a 3D artist, obviously. Perhaps you don't know me, but I already did some stream on ZBrush Live almost a year ago, and I did 2 of them about Star Wars, and especially the Kylo Ren helmet and lightsaber. And you can find on the YouTube channel of Pixologic the playlist with my past streams and other stuff I did. And I'm a big Star Wars fan, and obviously today is May the 4th. Then May the 4th be with you, and it was for me a good day to restart my streams. In few words, it will probably something like 2 hours and a half, perhaps 3 hours for the stream. I don't know yet. I don't think there is no one after me because sometimes I'm very long. For the little story, I started this project on my personal time quite a while ago. Again, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm reading a lot of books of Star Wars. I read, of course, a lot of them. I like the movies. I'm not a big Star Wars nerd, but really I'm a big fan, let's say, just in between. And I really like this shape. And you have to know that it was one of the first things I did in 3D in 1994 or 1993, something like that. Really, years ago, it was this shape. I mean, I always love this shape. And for years, I say, oh, one day I will do one really in details. And well, things move forward, and I switch a lot, of course, on ZBrush, and not only at Pixologic, but before joining Pixologic. And I'm more an organic sculptor, not really a model, let's say a hard surface modeler. But over the time, with all the additions in ZBrush, and especially the Z modeler, which arrived then a few years ago, really changed for me my mind about modeling. And on top of that, with the live boolean, the modifier, now we have in the Gizmo 3D, and now Snapshot 3D. I mean, I have all the tools to build this type of project. And this project will be a 3D printed project. I already started to print some parts. Let me just open some images. People who know me already, especially the French people on my website, are aware of this project, some of them. But just to show you some images of 3D printing stuff. Sorry, I'm talking, but I can't find my folders. Okay, here it is. 3D. Where are you, Star Wars Destroyer? Okay. And you see, this is an example of 3D prints of the shield generators, which are on top of the main tower. You see, I mean, I already started to do a lot of stuff, because this project again will be 3D printed, and I'm working at a large scale. This ship in Star Wars is 1.6 kilometers for the length. I don't know in miles, I'm sorry about that, but it's quite big. And the scales will be 1 to 1,600. Then it will be a 1 meter long 3D print. And I will print everything with my Formlabs printer, and Formlabs is kindly sponsoring me in this project, helping me to build this project, and I hope that I will have something to show to everyone, at least at the ZBrush Summit, about this project. Anyway, sorry, I'm talking a lot. I already did quite some stuff about this project. You already seen these screenshots on the thumbnail for this project. Then you see I built quite some part, at least the shape by itself, and I started to do some details. And for this stream, the first part will be explaining what I did so far, and then for the second part and then next streams, I will obviously not sculpting but modeling more parts, to going more and more in details. I will do some part of these streams also on my personal channel, not always on ZBrush Live, because my next ZBrush Live stream will be something like the 28th or something like that, because I won't be able to stream the next Sunday and the one after, because I will be traveling. Anyway. Okay, now let me switch to Lightroom. Where are you, Lightroom? Then, about these projects, working on this type of model is not that easy, because if you look online, there is not a lot of blueprints of the Star Destroyers, Imperial Star Destroyers. You have some images, but it's very difficult to work with. And luckily, I've been able to visit the Star Wars Identities exhibition in Paris some years ago, and the Avenger. This is the Star Destroyers, Imperial Star Destroyer from Episode 5, the Empire Strike Back. And it was really impressive. It was massive. I don't know, I think it's something like 3 or 4 meters long, and it's quite big. And if you look about some part, it's really full of small details. It's just crazy. And I mean, you need to see that with your own eyes. If one day you have the opportunity to visit this exhibition, it's traveling all around the world, and this is really madness. Then I want to create a project like that, which will be as much as possible movie accurate. Obviously not as good as this one, because I don't have the time, but at least I want to be as close as possible, at least for the proportion and some details. I won't be able to do everything exactly like it is, because most part will be symmetrical, while in this model it's not that symmetrical. You see, this part are not on the other side. There is quite some differences. But I have a bunch of photos which are very helpful for the references. And on top of that, because I did a bunch of photos, and it was not the purpose to do a 3D scan, but I did a 3D scan with what was a photo scan before, which is now a Metashape. And as you can see, with all the photos I took, I have something that I can use for my project. Obviously, it looks very nice right now because it has a texture on top of it. But if you remove the textures, you will see it just, it's very, very noisy. Then I can't really use this scan as is. I need to rebuild everything. But thanks to that, I will have all the proportions and the location of most of the shapes, the parts of this model. I don't have the bottom part. Then I will need to work obviously with what I found online. Some model kits also I purchased, and start to move forward. But at least with that, I can move forward. I won't explain the scanning process. I already have a stream about that, about my son I sculpted as a little Buddha, where I explain all the process with this software before moving in ZBrush. Then during this stream, obviously I will use these images as references. And you remember I just talked a few minutes ago about Snapshot 3D, Live Boolean. Then building now all these shapes with Snapshot 3D especially will be very, very easy and quite fast. Then I think it will be way more faster to when I started, a year ago or 2 years ago about this project. Before starting in ZBrush, and just to go back about the 3D printing part of this project, again, this is a massive model. 1 meter long with a lot of small details. It's quite challenging. And on top of that, I want to be able to travel with this model around the world, at least to the US or to Japan, where I have most of my business activities. And you see, I will be able to split all of that and put that in a big luggage and not crashing everything during the my trips. I don't want to ship that. I really want to be able to travel with that. Then later, more at the end, when I will prepare everything for 3D printing, I will need to think about how I will split my parts for 3D printing, and obviously for the 3D printing process, because I want to avoid as much as possible too much supports. Be sure that because big parts, I want to making them fitting in the 3D printer, etc., etc. Then I'm starting with the Form 2 right now, and I will try to switch, if possible, to the Form 3 printer as soon as possible. I mean, it looks really great as a 3D printer. Anyway, now I will just leave. Now, okay, let's switch to ZBrush. I'm in ZBrush 2019, and what you see so far is a scan of the Avenger. And I have a Z-sphere. Why? Because I really want to have, again, these proportions and the shape. I know my scan is accurate. I won't say it's accurate to, let's say, to the micron, but at least enough to do my model. And to do this part, I did the old way, which I still use quite a lot, is using the Z-spheres for the retopology. Then this is quite simple. I just loaded my my model as sorry, let me go back in native skin. Sorry, rigging. I just selected my model, which I did before. In fact, I deleted my subtool. That's why you just only have this one. You just only have this one. It's been a while I didn't stream in English, and sorry if I'm really rusty. And thanks to that, I'm able to edit the topology. And the first thing I did was only, of course, to work in symmetry and creating this big shape, which is a simple triangular shape with, you see, just a line in between. And there is nothing complex. It's mainly clicking the first point with the symmetry, the last point, the same, you see, on the side, then connect it to have these big flat polygons, doing this extension, all of that in symmetry. If I'm pressing the A key to display the topology, that is skin here, as you can see, my Dynamesh resolution is at 0, because if I leave that at 256, which is the default value, and doing a preview, ZBrush is trying to do a Dynamesh of my model, which is very flat. Then ZBrush trying to close everything. That's why I have this type of weird effect, because I don't want a Dynamesh. I really want to have pure polygons. Then my topology is quite basic. And after that, let me load another model. Then I simply started to continue, you see, to do on the side, come on, here, you see, then this part, this small extrusion. For this part, it's simply using the Z-modeler and doing a Q-mesh of all the polygons below. And there is nothing really complex. And for the bottom part, here, just below, it's an error mesh. I simply did a repetition, just repeating once my error mesh, and did a mirror on the vertical axis and just offsetting my model. Then with that, I know that I have, you see, my 3D scan like that, and the biggest part of my hull, if I'm not wrong for the name. Again, sorry for if I'm lacking some vocabulary for all of that. Okay, and then the other step was, let me just load my scan. I have my scan here, and I started to build all of this shape that you see below, like that. And this shape, again, this is the idea was not to be very, being a lot doing a lot of small details, but really building the volume. And for that, it was starting with something very easy. Let me just delete this one and rebuilding it. Okay, I remove that. I'm displaying the scan. I will switch to transparency mode. Okay, and let me simply, again, duplicating this one. Okay, and initialize and doing a quick cube like this. Then I have a basic primitive and just reshaping. Let me remove my transparency like that. I have the top part scaling to fit roughly from the top. This one. I can, with a mask, oops, sorry, and pressing Alt, masking everything except the point below, which hasn't been masked, just to reshape like this. Can do the same thing here. My symmetry is on. I can rotate. You see, it's very simple, very basic. Trying to now move the bottom part, the part like this, which is not on the good location. Oops. Okay, and go on, and again and again and again. Then this is really the basic part of all these volumes. And now if I'm just moving forward, okay, I'm just loading because I'm not sure for this file. Hey Vishar! Very happy to see you there. Okay, then now I also imported, you see, this model with the texture. Again, the idea was not to have, again, all the small detail, but having the texture in ZBrush provide a better point of view of all the parts and not only the geometry, because the texture gives me, of course, some details. Then to add extra parts later, like this one, or having the turbo lasers and all this stuff, it will be way easier to work like that, you see. Then I just imported all the items, and if I'm not wrong, let me select. No, it's not at that stage. Because at one stage I just rescale my model to be 1.6 unit long in ZBrush. And I think, let me check. I'm sorry because I'm reloading an old project, then I just want to be sure. I will see, but at one stage, what I did was simply scaling my model like that to be 1.6 long. You see on top here, I have the values. Then I'm going up to 1.6 roughly, like that. And now if I'm scaling this scan, you see, just be sure the back of my model is there to be aligned. Then I know that this length is 1.6. It means that when I will export my model, it will be 1.6 meter long. Right now I'm working in meter units. Obviously for 3D printing I will work in millimeter, then all the parts I will just multiply my values to have the good one. The other reason is because ZBrush is working better when you are in this, let's say, 0.5 to 2 or 3 units values. ZBrush works better like that than working with very large value. I mean, I won't work in meters for a so big model. I will stay in these, meter for the real object, obviously. Then I will skip to a small size. And to rescale everything, this is quite easy. You can select all your model in the pizza box mode, which is transpose all selected subtool. And you see selecting like that. Let me just hide this one. You see like this. Come on. And because I have everything now, I can just rescale my model to be sure that I have the good size, so 1.6 size. In fact, I should have scaled everything together and not what I'm doing right now. but it's very, very important to work as much as possible at the good size as soon as possible when you are exporting for 3D printing. I don't really like just rescaling at the end of my process. Why? Because if I need to have some, let's say, minimum thickness, it may be a problem, especially when you have small parts. Because if you look about this project, let me remove the transparency. You see all these small details I will have here. It's full of small parts and things like that. If it's too thin, I will have issues during my 3D printing process. Then I will need to anticipate and be sure that I have a minimum size for some parts and be sure it will fit. Another reason is if I'm loading the shield generators, which is right now, I will come back to this model later. This shield generator, you see all these type of small antennas. It was too thin at the beginning, and I did not want. I wanted to have a model which was a little bit smaller. In fact, not 1 meter long, but something like 80 centimeters. And at 80 centimeters, these small antennas were too thin, and the 3D printing process was. The top part was kind of bended. It was very, very small, way smaller than the minimum resolution. Supported by the printer. In fact, the screenshot here that you see is the previous size, and the printer was able to print them, luckily, but it was slightly bended, then not good enough. And on top of that, if you need to travel with something like that and moving and touching and breaking everything, it was not on purpose. Then that's why I switched to this new scale, and obviously when I did all this part, I slightly also increased the thickness to be thicker than what it should be. Okay, then always think about all of that for a 3D printing process. And even the small part, I had to increase slightly the value. Probably with the Form 3 now, which will have a laser spot, which will be 85 microns, which is almost half smaller than the previous one on the Form 2, and the new peeling process, which is a low force peeling process that they introduced. I think now it should be able to do very, very small details. Anyway, by the way, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, because I'm looking at the chat on a regular basis. Just let me know. There is no problem about that. And also, even if it's slightly off topic, sorry, I'm just checking something. Okay. Now let me switch to other parts. And the first thing I started to do, let me switch back, it's not a good one. Deflector. Okay. Then these shield generators have been the first thing I created in ZBrush. Why? Because for me it was one of the most complex part I see in this model, and especially this type of geometrical shape, which is simply, you see, a sphere like that. And what I did was simply connected all the points with the Z modeler just to create all these triangles, and based on that, after I simply extruded my shapes. Then it has been done completely by hand. I tried to load some primitive mathematical primitives, and it was not really the same. And after thinking quite a lot about that, yes, I thought that just working with the Z modeler and clicking on points, and what I want is where are you? Bridge, sorry. You see, bridging like that my my items, and then being able after to, oops, sorry. Using QMesh, and you see extruding like that the model. You see it's quite fast to do something like this, and sometimes doing by hand is way faster than trying to find the good shape ready to be used. And because this is 3D printed, I don't really care for my topology. if there is some part which are, let's say I have some disconnections and things like that, or if I have extra triangles, because at the end anyway I will have triangles. And this is really what I love about 3D printing. I can really focus on the visual aspect. I really don't care at all about the topology of the model. You see? Hello, no. Okay, you have some questions so far? Then, next steps. No, not a good one. Deflector. No, it was a good one. Okay. Then the shape here is roughly what I found about this I mean online and photos. As you can see, my topology here is not very good because I have non-manifold topology. I mean, I have one edge. I mean, I have manifold. No, not manifold, sorry. Edge. This edge is sharing more than 2 polygons, which is not good. But at this stage, it was not very, very important. And if really I have an issue, I can do, let's say, a dynamesh of my model. Okay. And for all these parts, you see, this type of small antennas, it was a cube and this cylinder and some Q-mesh for the extrusion. And as you can see on the other side, I have the topology which is added to all the items. Why? Because again, I'm using an array mesh like for the hull, the top and the bottom part. Let me switch to my array mesh. And I will simply delete this array mesh just to start from scratch. Then I have this item, this model, array mesh. I want to have, let's say, 12 copies. And for these 12 copies, I will need to do a rotation around the vertical axis, which is the y-axis in ZBrush. Then rotate and 360. And as you can see, all the rotation are around the same model. What I need to do is moving the pivot point along this axis, the z-axis. No, not the z. Yeah, y. Then x, like that. You see. And because of that, I'm able now to just editing one file without taking care of the other items. Obviously, it's not the good number because I don't have them on the good location. It's not a big deal for now. Another thing which is great is I'm using, again, this array mesh on the other part below. And as you see, the model is very, very simple. This one is just a cylinder. Same thing, cylinder with array mesh for everything. Then this model, which was looking quite complex and so small, at the end is very, very easy to do. The real issue is more, again, the 3D printing process of the model. And I will show you that also another issue about the 3D printing process. Not an issue, but something that you need to consider. Let me move forward in history. Which one is it? Not this one. Sorry, I have quite a lot of files. You see, same thing. I did all these items, and as you can see in the Z modeler, you see that all the model. I think I did an. Sorry, it's not an array mesh. I just did a mesh inserts and with the radial symmetry. You see, same process. I did more details on the bottom part. The center cylinder. Just keep this question more for my personal streams because right now it's totally off topic and obviously in French, and I will just reply in English and not in French. Okay, then at this stage I just added more and more details which are quite small but enough to be visible on the print. and I added this part, and this part, same thing, RMesh, ZModeler. I simply started with a cube, I extruded, big extrusion, adding some edge loops, and just rotating some part. You see, really nothing complex. What I mean is, if you are a beginner in ZBrush, you can build this type of model without too much complexity. The only, let's say, technical point is more understanding the RMesh, the way it's working. And you have a bunch of tutorials which are available online for that. You see the center part as well, adding more and more things about the bottom part. Why? Because again, it will be quite a big model. Let me just, sorry. I don't know if you will see that. Let me check my stream application. I don't know if you see. Sorry, it's quite dark. Let me change the light. I don't know if you will see something, but you see it's the model will be quite large, but this part, which is quite big, is in fact very small. And it's really challenging to print something like that. Okay, just checking the time. Okay, let's move forward on the deflector. And no, I think this one was almost the final one. Deflector, deflector, deflector. I have so many files. Yeah, because I did some modification over the time. Okay, this one is the final one. And as you can see, this part, I increase the thickness of that. Again, because it was too thin for the 3D printing process, and it was not good. As you can see, these antennas as well as been, the thickness has been increased. Okay. Then this one is the final one, and as you can see on the bottom, you have this key, which will let me just plug the model on the main tower of the model. Now let me just open a file in preform for the 3D printing process. Where are you? Hey James. Destroyer. No, you can find me if you look at Polyscult on Twitch, or the polyscult.com, which is my website. You have the Discord link and etc. Sorry, I'm looking at preform and I don't find. Interesting. Okay, then I will. Oh. Okay. It was not at the good location. Let me just launch preform right now. Sorry, I'm just typing on the chat. Okay. Then what you see right now on screen is the first version of these deflectors. And when you are printing, I mean, it's quite old now. I mean, I print that, I think with the Form 1 Plus, just before the release of the Form 2, then really before moving forward. And when you are printing something like that, you need to print, you see the model layer by layer, and all this part. You need to know that the tip here of a support is 0.6 millimeters. And all of these parts are, you see, This one is smaller than 0.6 millimeter. It's very, very, very thin. And when you are printing all these layers one by one, you need to have at least a minimum thickness because of the pilling process. Pilling process is when a layer has been printed by the printer, just to unstick this layer to the resin tank, the bottom of the resin tank. And this operation is putting quite a lot of force and use a lot of strength to unstick and then unpeeling the model from the platform. And because of that, when you have small part like that, it's way too thin. But the model, except the antenna, which has been very, very thin, everything has been printed, without issue. But when you want to remove, you see these small supports here, it's very, very difficult to to be able to cut and let's say sanding this type of small details. And when you are removing a support on a small part like this, you have the risk to break this type of part. Then you really need to anticipate this type of thing. Then compared to the movie, I won't be able to have the same thickness. I will need to trick a little bit my model to have something which is thicker to fit my model. Okay. It seems that I don't have the Twitch messages. Oh. Yes. What is happening on Twitch? Okay. Yeah, it seemed that the restream chat was not working on Twitch. Then I'm sorry, I didn't have your previous question because I just reload Twitch. I think Mordecai, you put a message, and please, if you can resend your question on Twitch. I'm very sorry for that. I was just looking at Restream chat application. Let me undock. Okay, now we'll have both. Okay. Okay, and then I will answer some question on Twitch. I'm sorry. Then why this model is not hollowed? Because when you are doing 3D printing, you can hollow your model to save some resin, which is a good tip to do, especially for this type of model, which will be quite big. First of all, let me just show you again this model. You see, this model is, if I remove the support below, this is something like 2 centimeters tall, and the sphere part is 1.2 centimeters, 12 millimeters for the diameter. And if I want to hollow, I will save a little bit of material, but not that much. And when you start hollowing a model, you need to do some vent holes, small holes, to be sure the resin will go away and things like that. And for something like this, I have 2 of them on my model. It's not worth it. If I had to do, let's say, 100 of them, yes, obviously it will be worth it to hollow the model, looking the thickness and things like that. But for just 2 models like this, it's really not worth it. Yeah. And yes, I will blame Kai for that. What do you mean with not Jack? I'm sorry for your nickname. By how come it's suspended? It's not printed on the platform. This is what you mean? Because if it's a question, when you are printing on SLA compared to FDM printers, you almost never print on the build platform of the printer. It's most of the time. Why? Because the first layer are let's say, not crushed, but very compressed. And if you want to unstick from the platform, you need to break slightly the resin by using some tools and things like that. It's not very good. By using the supports, at least you will have, your model will keep their, let's say, their integrity as a model, which is quite important. And yes, it's resin. I will print everything on a resin printer, not FDM. There is no way to print such project on FDM. Oh yes, I can print that, but it will be just crappy in terms of quality and resolution. And on top of that, the resin is way easier to work on. I mean, as a post-process, it's easy to sand. You can mold it. There is so many things you can do. With FDM, it's just a nightmare. And trust me, I really know FDM and SLA. I have 2, 3 SLA printer right now in my office. I have a 4th in the living room, and I have 2 FDM here, and another one which is at a friend. And I have 7 printer right now. Then, and for me, FDM is great for big parts, big models. But as soon as you want to be accurate and doing some post process, SLA is way better. Okay. I hope I sold you very well the SLA printing process. Okay. Then you see this is a model which may look complex, but which is not very complex. In fact, the most difficult part was to doing the design of this part, finding which was a good number of rotation, how to do these triangles. But as soon as you know how to do it, this is quite easy. And yeah. Okay. Deflector. Okay, I have the rescale. Sorry, I have some of these error messages. It's because I did some part with a beta of ZBrush. Okay, and I think this one has been rescaled. Let me check. No, not this one. I don't know. Okay, I will come back to that just after for this part. Let me see, because I think at one stage I rescale everything. Reactor. Well, I will see that later. Okay, not a big deal. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me go back in history. Okay, then the bottom part. The back part, sorry. Sorry for my English. Okay, this is what I did at the beginning to do this type of reactors. I'm not very sure about the name. For the model, I really wanted to do this type of shapes, and yeah, it was not very good. And if you look at let me relaunch Lightroom. Mother Kenner, no, I would not print each atom if I could, but well, everything which can increase the resolution and the quality and avoiding post-process, I mean, I will do it. Really, yes. I really love 3D printing. I mean, it's been a while I'm in 3D printing. There is multiple reasons. First of all, I mean, I love digital sculpting. I love digital, let's say, modeling, not only the sculpting, but everything about that. The only problem is the post-process. Again, when you are 3D printing something, especially when you are doing this type of small, intricate models with a lot of details or figurines, a printer which is able to avoid having these layers, because years ago you had a lot of layers visible, everything which can make a model nicer, more accurate and better and equivalent to what you have on screen, the best it is. But what is very important for me is, yeah, I have something in digital. I mean, right now I'm behind my Cintiq. I have a good Cintiq, a good monitor. I mean, it's great. I can use, if I want, I don't know, a VR headset and being close to the model, but it's still virtual. While when you do 3D printing, you have something in your hands and you are able to do very great stuff, see with your own eyes in real 3D, touch what you're doing. And that's why I really love. And you can build things that only you are able to have it, or redoing your own stuff. You see in the background, I don't know if you see my screen, but I have figurines, one of my ZBrush live project, the Demon Queen in the back. All of that, I mean, I'm one of the few, I'm the only one to have this model. Even my 2B figurine I did during ZBrush live, there is only 3 models. Mine, one for Platinum Games, then in Japan, and one for my father, my brother-in-law, who really asked me about that. And this is something which I really love. And let me just show you something. Sorry, this is slightly off topic. Sorry, I just go back in a few seconds. Hold on. Sorry for making you waiting a few seconds. I will increase the camera size. Okay. You see, this is a ZBrush Live project I started, but I had to stop it. That's why you don't have the final part. This thing is not Star Wars related, but this is a scan of my son, Louis, which was 9 years old at that time. Because when we traveled to Japan, he really loves some Buddha statues and taking the pose, and then say, okay, let's transform you as a small little Buddha. And there is a problem with the microphone? You hear me okay or not? No? I don't know, someone is saying. Okay. Then I scan the model. There is the first part, which is online, and I have on my YouTube channel, which is Polysculpt on YouTube. I have a scan then. I mean, I explain all the process in French, unfortunately, but I'm doing a making of right now in English for Formlabs, in fact. And I print that in the Form 2, and then this is way more heavier. What you see right now, this is a cold casting in bronze. I did a 3D print and I did a mold in silicone and pouring some resin mixed with a real bronze powder. You see it's shiny, and this is heavy. This is 1.5 kilogram. This is quite heavy. And you see, this is what I love, because 3D printing, whatever it's a Star Wars project or this thing, you can now, in digital, creating things in the real world which are, let's say, nice material. Then I really love that one. Of course, this is my son, but yeah, this is why I love 3D printing. And I don't see myself doing 3D print, stopping doing 3D printing stuff. Anyway, let's go back to Star Wars. Oh, by the way, this one has been hollowed. I have multiple holes I had to fill, of course, to save some material. And this is printed in 50 microns, then it's quite thin, and yeah, looks good. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Then, about this Exhausters, if I'm not wrong. I just watched SpaceX stream this morning and just give the name each time, and I'm forgetting the name. Exhausters, if I'm not wrong. Yes, thank you, Mother Kainer, for the camera. Each time I'm forgetting about the camera. Yeah. Yes, 1.5 kilograms. I don't know in pounds, but it's quite heavy because it's filled in resin and mixed with bronze powder. There is 1 kilogram of bronze powder and 500 grams of resin. And in terms of volume, this is 2/3 of resin and 1/3 of bronze. But because the bronze density is not the same, of course the white is way more important. And trust me, it's way nicer in real life than behind a webcam like that. Okay, then what I was saying. You see, I started to do this first shape, but it's way nicer in Star Wars. I did that very quickly. You see, like this, just doing some simple extrusion, say, no, come on, Thomas, it's not that good about the model. And this is sometime, let's say, I want to be lazy. I want to doing something quickly. But as soon as you are really lazy and you want to do that the easy way, well, it's not as good as it should be, unfortunately. And sorry, I'm looking for the file. So I want to really speed up the process because I want to move forward in the creation. Engine. one. I hope this is a good one. Yes, I know, I don't have the... Okay. Then, for these engines, where is the original one? Okay, this one. Because this is again an remesh. Let me switch in solo mode. You see? Then, okay, I decided, okay, Thomas, now be more accurate and start to create all the parts. And you see, this is roughly some cylinders and some parts I mixed together. And I have to say that years ago, I would have merged everything with a nice topology, meaning that you see this type of small extrusion connecting to these big cylinders. I would have tried to merge everything connecting together as a final shape. But for 3D printing, there is no purpose. I mean, what is important is to have a volume. And now with the live Boolean, I can do Boolean operation of everything, and ZBrush will connect all the points for my print. And this is something which is very important, is do a model depending of your final purpose. If you are doing something for video games, obviously you won't have the same constraint as 3D printing. But what is important for 3D printing is the volume you will have at the end. Even, you see this part, I decided to do a clean topology with extrusion on top of my model, being able to pressing the D key to have a dynamic subdivision to have something nicer. After some time, I told myself why I did that. I mean, I could have just having a separate mesh and connecting everything. You see, it's still my whole habit about trying to have something which is as clean as possible. Okay, then there is again nothing very complex, and you see on this location I connected, you see, this big part with this this ring around the model just as one mesh. Again, I should have done this part separately and doing just another model just to connect all of them. And by doing that, I will have, I mean, it will have provided me more freedom in terms of modification. It would have been faster and more freedom. You see, it's still the whole habit. And that's why I'm talking about that, is because when I will move forward in this project to do all these small details, I mean, I will do a lot of things with the snapshot 3D function. You see, using this alpha to create some geometry. And I mean, if I have a lot of polygons, I don't care. If it's not perfect, I don't care. If it's interconnected, there is some intersection, I don't care. What I will care is the final volume of my model for 3D printing. And if I really want to do something which is more optimized as a topology, then why not redoing a retopology of some parts, even using ZRemesher or just by hand. Sometimes it's faster to do something visually and after doing a retopology if you need, than trying to do something perfect at the beginning. Jess, feel free to share a link to what you did. Okay, and for these three ones, again, a remesh. I did one, I multiply by 3. I need to change something, then the two other ones will be modified the same way. And I did also the sub light speed, I don't know the name, sublight reactors, which are this one. And same thing, you see just a cylinder doing some extrusion inside all this part, and all of that are simply mesh I inserted. You see, this is very simple, and you see for this one, this is what I fixed my mistake. Okay, Thomas, don't be dumb and add all the parts, doing some Lego bricks with your model. Okay, and I saw them, and this is why you have some error messages. What you see here, let me switch to solo mode. Again, this is an remesh. These are these turbo lasers, and if I'm showing them, I'm not 100% accurate with this one, to be honest, because let me zoom slightly less. You see these parts. Again, this is simply some simple tubes and part which has been just mixed together. You need to know that this part is, this Avenger Star Destroyer is just a mix of a lot of small cards. You see all these parts are part of just more cards which have been just cut on the model, and all of these items are coming from Japanese model kits. And you have some people who just look online buying all kits just to have these parts and building all together. This is just a big Lego of model kit parts which has been glued together to create this model. Then you see it's all of that. It's mainly from a boat and tanks and a lot of things like that. Okay. Okay, Model Trainer. Yes, I have a lot of subtools and not a single folder. Why? Because I started this project in 4R8, if I remember, and not in 2019. That's why I say it's an old project now. I really want to finish. That's why there is no folders. And obviously now we organize everything with folders, which will be way more convenient. And you see this is only then the modeler, some tubes, and almost nothing else. Really, I'm building blocks. I mean, doing some building blocks of stuff. Okay. I think I just have the turbo laser as a subtools. Let me check. Sorry, I'm only opening files for now, which is not the most sexiest part. No, I thought I had the turbo laser as a separate model. I think this is this one. Yeah, this one. And just blocks and nothing else. Again, I would like to have something which is longer and less thicker, but because of 3D printing, I have I have some restriction. What I would like to do, but I won't have the time, I think, is to be able to have just a cylinder on the bottom and being able to rotate with turbo laser and being able to rotate these parts, having just an axis in the center and just being able to move them up and down and being able to rotate moving up and down. This is the only part which would be which will move on this model, and I'm considering something like that. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Wait for it. Okay, and as you can see over the time, what I did, I will explain this part later. I started to put my parts, the final one, obviously, on the model, just to give a better aspect of my model. And for me, this is very important, helps me to keep the motivation and really to see the progress of all this part together. Then on top, you have all the sensors, which is, again, some very, very basic things. I think this is this one. No, not this one. No, I have, oh, okay, let me open a project. Is this one I loaded before? Sorry, let me check. Okay. This is what I was looking for. And same thing, very basic, primitive cubes that I'm extruded with. I extruded with the Z modeler. You see this part, very simple, nothing complex. And this one was slightly more complex. I have this big part behind, which is just a cube I extruded and scaled it. And there, again, this is very, very basic. You take a cube like that, okay, and you extrude like this. Now you can click multiple times to be sure you have the same cubes, okay. Then I will do a Q mesh by polyloop, like this, and now I can, you see, repeat like that my operation to do, you see, this type of small cubes. And after, of course, with the symmetry, you are able, oops, sorry, to let's do a mirror and weld. Modify topology, mirror and weld on the other side, it would be better. Mirror, where are you, mirror? Deformation, mirror. Okay, like this, and with the symmetry, insert, like that. You see, and it's, I mean, again, this is a simple, I mean, very simple operation, which is great with this model. There is not a lot of complex shape. It's more how you will do the assembly and moving forward. And yes, modern camera, real camera is very helpful, especially when you are working with ZBrush and Keyshot, for me, at least for rendering, to composite everything. Sorry, this is off topic. For this project, I'm working more in orthogonal view and not really in perspective view, which is not, I mean, a big constraint for me. I prefer working without a perspective when I'm in using the Z modeler and burn operation to be sure I'm well aligned on my model. Okay, and then I spent quite some time on the engine. Not the engine themselves, but adding more and more detail. I'm loading a project, not this one. I will move forward and I will show you some stuff soon. Let's load the 22nd one. Okay. And this is where I've been happy to work with the scan. And I should still have the scan below. You see. Having the scan again is not really helpful to reuse the content, but at least to have the proportion. And as you can see, the quality is not good, but I know that where are my reactors? They are well located. And having some parts like this one, all these items, I know that I'm pretty good in terms of location. You see this part which we see on top. Let me hide it. You see this part. You see with and without. It helps me finding the location, and obviously using, you see, these photos help me also to know how it is. Then basic shapes. This one, this is again a remesh. I was looking not on the good location. You see, this is very simple. All again and again, this is cube that I just deform. I inserted on regular distance with insert mesh, because when you do insert mesh, you can do multiple edge loops and choosing the space. Sorry, I did a French verb. Mixing with an English one, with choosing the number of the resolution, number of slices that you want to have. Then I wanted to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices, and like that I have the same distance between all the slices. And you simply need to add after a bevel. You see, you can say, oh, I want to have multiple, one just dynamic, or multiple edge loops. I don't want to have a specific resolution. You click, you have all your points. Now I can do a bevel, choosing, sorry, let me just remove, choosing like that the radius, like this, and then click on the other one. So I'm just doing a few of them, and now I can do like before, QMesh polyloop, like this. You click again to repeat the last action, and like this you have all your stuff done. You can apply the dynamic subdivision to smooth your model, but having a little bit more control with a small coverage. like this. And doing that will avoid you adding manually small beavers on the corner, on the edges, to have something which is not too sharp. But I will try to avoid as much as possible this smoothing, because I really want to have sharp details on my model, because the 3D printing process is slightly smoothing the edges. Then it's quite important to consider. My only question, and this is more technical, is because I will use for some part, and perhaps big part of the printing process, a form 3. Since it's more accurate, I think it will be sharper. Then perhaps I will need to add some bevels somewhere to have some more rounded angle, and not something which is too sharp, in fact. Zolda, I guess you arrived. I'm explaining, in fact, how to create a Star Wars Imperial Star Destroyer. Then this is a work in progress right now, about all these items. And then I did the same for all these parts. And then comes the funny part, about 22. Let me switch to 24. Yeah, the good franglais, mix of French and English. I'm very sorry for that. Yeah. And this is where I had to spend more time, was this type of big details in the back part of the model, because this one are quite visible about details. And you see, I also added this type of connector for the bottom part. I mean, it looks like what you have in planes for the flaps, but I find that weird that such system, I mean such starship, need to have some type of flaps. But well, it was in the design and I read it then. These items, I don't know what is the purpose. Of course, this is, for them are still the same. I'm using again an remesh. I'm doing one, and like that all of them will be duplicated. You see, I'm applying the smoothing or removing it. You see on this location, I want to add, let's say, some, I think a smaller brush would be helpful. You see, I'm doing something like that. I have all the items which are, I mean, all the items, all the other objects like that will receive the same modifications. I'm adding some bevel there, and you see, this is where, I mean, which is great to work with ZBrush and the Z modeler, because in few clicks you are able to redo a lot of parts, like, oops, sorry. You see, small -1 or +1 if I want. Try to connect with what I have on the other side. Yeah, it's really good. And this is where the creation of this model will take time, is because it's very rich in terms of details. And when you're doing a model kit like that, you are doing this kit bashing with all the stuff. You are picking pieces which are already molded, and you're just gluing things together. In 3D, of course, we need to recreate almost everything. Even after, we can use the insert mesh to just growing some part. But all the part I will grow, I will need to create them first, and after using the insert mesh to replicating them. Okay, let me move forward. I'm sorry, I'm taking quite some time. Let me go to the 27th one. Okay. Okay. You see, this one, the only difference is I added for these parts. You see, this is where I'm using regular insert mesh to do this type of big bolts, which are not bolts, I guess. And I think this is the one on top. Yeah, here. I just inserted edges all along the model, separate everything, removing everything to do this type of thickness. And when you are doing, let me just switch in solo mode. Oops, solo mode. you have to keep in mind, and this is a small trick. Let me scale that. Okay, and oops, let me. I'm using my mouse right now, and why my custom UI? I'm missing one menu. Sorry. Config restore custom. Okay. Yeah, my topo menu was missing. Okay, I have this part, and with symmetry it would be better. Okay, okay, like this, and let's say my shape is like that. Okay. My problem is if I'm showing you my model, the original model here, you see I have the same shape, but all my lines are parallel to the center one. Okay. And if I want to keep everything in parallel, let me go back to my shape. Where are you? Okay, here. Now I will insert a single edge. Why insert edge loop? Ah, I have my mask. I understand now. Okay, and you see my edge is following. I mean, is keeping the same distance on the first and last point, and it tries to be parallel as much as possible. I mean, to the angle, the side where it's going. But if you click close to this one, like this, and you're pressing the Shift key, then you see it keeps the same orientation. Then like this, you can insert all your edges like that, and then after you just need to do your bevel or whatever, not a bridge. See, like this. You can insert another edge with Shift key to be sure I'm aligned with this position. Let me just move this one below. Sorry, I need to be like that. And then with the ZModeler, I will QMesh a single polygon. And you have this type of shape that I did before. Of course, you can insert more edges like this. Should have done that earlier. And then of course multiple layers that you can combine, but very quickly you can do something like that. Sorry. I can share the photo I took, and I think I did that quite a while ago because some people on the forum asked me. I can share the photos. There is no problem with that. Yeah, I just need to think about that and putting them online, but there is no problem with that. I mean, it's it's a model available in exhibition, then there is no reason for me to keep all this file for myself. Okay. Then you see it's the difficult part is to think, of course, in advance about how I will do the parts and how I will connect. But this is for me a good example of where the ZModeler is good. And I think 29. I'm very close to the end about and before now working on more parts. Okay, you see center part, this item, which I started to add. Same thing, the modeler. It's very, very basic. Most of the time, there is nothing very, very complex. Very quickly, so because I forgot about that, you see I started to add all these flat panels on the model. And same as before, subtool. For that, I only used the scan. You see it like this. Let me hide this part where it is. You see, this is the item on location. And for that, same thing as before, just a cube to be sure it was on the good location and simply cutting all around my model. And the scan was not very good. That's why using, not the scan, it's the geometry of the scan, but that's why then again, like I said, using the texture, let's see, like this. And the textures gave me really the good location for all these parts, roughly the elevation, to be sure it was fitting the original model. And you see on the scan, I see the shadow of the model, and what you see here is a shadow of another model at the exhibition. You see, this is a Vader TIE interceptor. You see the shadow, and that's why in fact it's not, the scan is not very good as well, is because when I did the photo I didn't thought about doing a 3D scan. I just wanted to have something good for me as a reference, and I didn't thought about that, and that's why I would have take photo from below. But the model was really in the dark and behind big wall, I mean big glasses, big windows, and very, very difficult to be very close to the model, and a lot of reflection and things like that. And having hoping to have a good scan is a no-go. There is no way. Okay, but you see, this is where the scan is very good. Also to do the part, you see, I just presented just before. I have the good location, but forget about the details. There is nothing you can do with that. I wanted to, in fact, the exhibition was in UK, then not very far. I'm in France, and but the time to travel to UK just to take more photos, more accurate photos, and for the bottom part, but no way. And I think now it's in Australia's exhibition, something like that. Very, very far. Okay, let's continue to move forward. I'm sorry, it's a lot of talk right now. Engine. Okay, let's go back to the last one. Zolda, yes, you can do this model only with your mouse. And since the beginning, I'm using my mouse. There is no need to work with a pen tablet for hard surfaces models. It may be useful sometime, especially if you want to do some scratch and things like that, but using the Z modeler, what I'm using right now, and live booleans for some shapes and things like that, yes, you can work with a mouse. But as soon as you want to do organic things, you need to use a pen tablet. It's a no-go to work with a mouse. And then, you see, and I will speak about the tubes just below. You see all these tubes everywhere, which is just the beginning, because if you look at the photos, I had better photos. Let me go in library. I thought I had better photos on this item. Sorry, and you see, because it was in very, very low light conditions, I had, you see, it was a second for the half, I'm sorry, 1/60th, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, for the speed, quite high ISO. Then it's, you see, it's difficult to have good quality for the photos, but you see a lot of tubes there for the model. And to do the tubes, multiple techniques. I use really a lot of different things. I use these spheres to create all of these shapes. and you see I have parts which are connected together, and I think I have I thought I had the Z-spheres. I don't have the Z-spheres. Oh, I thought I did. Yes, I have them. You see, all of that are my tubes, and then I'm able to generate a dynamesh of everything. Because there are these spheres, it's very easy to create a new tube. Let's say this one, like this. I can move on this location. Don't forget that the size of your brush will impact not only the one you're moving, but the one which are in the radius of your brush stroke. And having a small value is good. Then I can go there, scaling down, and because I will use Dynamesh, I mean, I don't care if I have some big disconnect, and I want to have a tube now which will be the same size as this one. And if I'm going in draw mode, pressing the shift key, it will use the same size as the previous one. Then move, I can go there, adding another one, shift key when I'm creating this one, moving, going there, draw, just do something in parallel to this one, like this. And if I want to do some connection in between, like to connect this one to this one or this one on top, I can click to add more. Oops, it's not what I wanted to do. See, like this. And you see, I'm interconnecting everything, but when I'm doing my conversion to real geometry, because it's a Dynamesh, it will fuse everything. But if I'm not doing a Dynamesh, I'm choosing to do, I'm seeing the messages on the chat, sorry, I will just look at that quickly. If I remove my resolution, I just have a bunch of polygons. Hello. You see, like this, but I don't have connected polygons there. It's really a different shape. You see, if I'm smoothing everything, it's not connected at all. Then that's why using Dynamesh with this sphere to create tube is something great. Another way to do tubes, and I will start with, let me load a new project just to start from scratch. I will load a primitive like the cylinder 3D. I will change the values to have more vertical resolutions, and let's say 20 by, oops, no, 20, then a cylinder with more polygons like that. I'm converting that to a polymesh 3D, and in the gizmo you have multiple tools, and in the gear, the customized icon, you have multiple deformers, and then you have the bend curve, which is a deformer I really love. And you can change multiple settings, especially the axis. I want to have the vertical axis, and I want to increase the number of points. And now you are able to, you see, changing like this and creating some tubes like that. For your need. And even if you want to change something, like here, you have the scale, and you can change like this. The scale, I don't want to change the radius. Perhaps it was a bit too much for this one. You see, then right now it's quite, I mean, it was quite big as a change of resolution, but I really like doing my tubes like this. When my tubes need to be more organic, I prefer using like this, this tool, than the default Z-spheres. I can do the same thing with Z-spheres, but I really like this way of doing the changes. The deformation is really nice. You can also doing some twisting. You can have something which is not, let's say, uniform section, not a regular circle, but you can squeeze some part. Then you can scale. You can rotate as well, twisting some part, and it's quite flexible. Then let's say for soft tubes, this one is great. For hard type tubes, Z-spheres is something great. Okay. Someone is saying, Mordekainer, your stream is lagging when I'm moving the model. Huh. Right now I have 0 drop frame from what is telling my computer, and I have no idea. Yeah, Zolda, you can. That's a good idea. You can start with ZBrush Core if you really want to go the easy way. Of course, ZBrush by itself is the best solution. You also have the subscription, which is making things easier to start with. Up to you. Could you make a stop motion thing with a series of ZBrush creation? I never tried that myself, but I saw some people online doing some stop motion with ZBrush stuff, because you can just exporting all the model one by one, and there is yes, yes, I need to think about that. Well, I mean, let me look something. Because someone did, okay, yeah. It has been done with ZBrush and the Form 1 printer at that time, for OnePlus, which is Chase Me, which is a stop motion animation done with 3D printing. All of that has been 3D printed, and where is the movie? Yeah, this one. I found that crazy. And yeah, it's a lot of print. This is the making of let's see. And if you look at Chase Me online on YouTube, you should find that. Then the big tree and all the items. It's really amazing. A lot of print, and yeah. Sorry, off topic. Well, my CPU should be fine, I think, for the speed, performance. Yeah, it should be okay. Yeah, I'm streaming and recording at the same time. Then, oh, Preform is using. Oh, interesting. Preform is using 43% of my CPU. Huh. Let me shut down that. Okay, it should be better now. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Mother Canal, you mean the Star Wars model? If it's that, yes. Mondogondoga, sorry for your nickname. Thomas, I have trouble separating the hairs from the head for printing. So far, now I merge the head with the hair and cut back the neck. What you do, sorry, this is very, very off topic. You need to use Boolean operation for that. Let me quickly moving to okay. I'll do something not nice at all. Okay, I will do that, and I will do subtool. I will go to extract, mesh extract, something thicker. Okay, like that. I accept. And now I have very nice hairs. And let me remove the solo mode. Okay, then I have hairs like that. Sorry, this is very, very ugly. And of course, sometimes you may have bigger hairs and something different. And what you need to do is, right now my hairs, if I'm looking in transparency, you see, are intersecting the model. You see, like that. Then if you print the model, you won't be able to fit them together. First of all, sometimes you need to split that in multiple parts, because this one should fit perfectly, because it's really on top of the sphere part. But if you have more complex shape, you may need to split, let's say, in two parts. But to split, what you need to do is, I have my head here. I will duplicate it like that. I will go below. I will set that as a negative model, and I will enable the live boolean. Let me hide this one. And you see, now the demo head is subtract. This one is subtract from the hairs. You see, if I'm hiding this one, you see, this is the shape, and now I'm subtracting a copy of the head. And like that, I'm sure that these hairs will fit my model, because I remove the unnecessary part. And then I'm able to print that, printing the head separately, and after fitting everything together. Okay. Okay, then we'll see if it's lagging again. Okay. So it was really off topic. I think I will do one day a ZBrush live just about 3D printing questions and anything like that. I think, yeah, this is the last one. Sorry, I'm reloading the same file. Okay, and so the part I started to do, and this is where I will continue. In fact, I would need to show you, I think, 1 or 2 files, but this is where I will continue. Is now, okay, I started to redo, you see, this part here, just to start to give more details. This opening here, which is simply some extrusion. This is where you remember all the waste are going out of the Star Destroyer, and this is when the Millennium Falcon, which was just behind here, just left when it was attached to it. And same thing below, so I did not explain, but I did all these openings, and for these openings I used a blueprint I found online, and I hope it's a good one. And I purchased one model kit. Let me find it, if I find it online. Yeah, this one. Sorry, I'm looking at images. This is a Russian model kit, and I've been able to buy the rebranded one by Roussel. And this one is quite good. Some things which are not coherent, there is some mistakes in it compared to the movie. It's still in the box, to be honest. I don't have the time to build it, but I checked some part, and what I did seems to be fitting this one. Bandai announced also a model, and Bandai is very, very good in terms of detail. Then it should be interesting. Then I'm using this type of references, the model, but when you have the real Avenger, you saw it, it's not very good. You see, it's very plastic, it's very symmetrical, it's lacking details. You see the shield deflectors are very soft, and there is no antennas, and that's why you have people who are selling extensions, you see, like that, for the model. And you see this one, this is the main deck, where the control in Star Wars. Then that's why there is this small extension. That's why I want to do something which is better than this model. Okay, I think I almost done loading files, and now we'll move forward in the creation. Let me just check very quickly. Engine connectors, elements. No, I think I did everything. Anyway, what you see so far is what I did as a model. Let me check something very quickly. I'm sorry. Because I have files. Destroyer references. You see, I found other images online of the same model, which is different from my photos, but give me more details. And you see about tubes, this type of soft tubes. For that, definitely I would use the curved tube deformer, while for these tubes like that, even this one, I will use the Z-spheres. But this one, probably the deformers. And you see a lot of things. But for all this part, it will be a lot of simple shapes I will add all together. You see photos are blurry. And all the small holes you see here as for optic fibers to light the model. And obviously, I will do the same thing. And I could do the small holes on my 3D model, but it's way faster to use a small drill and drilling everything when it will be done than trying to model or using Boolean operation for these small holes. Considering that the resin may fill the hole slightly, it may be problematic, then I will drill everything all together. But as you can see, this is really loaded in details, and I don't know how far I will go about all of that. Then today, now I will start to move forward on the top parts. The name in French is a castle. I don't know, but this controls main tower to create all these details. I don't know how far I will go today. You see, then I already have these top parts, and I would like to do the bottom part, all these items. Then we'll do that together. Then a bunch of the modeler and other things. Okay. Do you have some questions before moving forward in the creation? No, no questions. All good. Okay. And I will work on this bottom part to avoid having some performance issues. And oh, we spoke about folders. Okay, let's do some folders. Not rename, new folders, reactors. Okay, then I will do all of that. Fuel, turbo lasers, these spheres. And I can increase my value. To be honest, I have a 4K Cintiq. Then most of the time I'm working with a higher resolution than the stream, and I have a bunch of subtools like that loaded. I said these spheres. Okay. Not a start group. Not this one. Oh, I put some French name. Interesting. Like this. Okay, below sublimix, which are the reactors. Okay, I don't know where I am so far about this part, but I should have, oh, this one. This array mesh. And now if I'm hiding everything, you see, I still have to put this part. Okay, reactors, it's done. Now we like to do these top sensors. Where are you, sensors? Okay, this one. Of course, it takes some time now, but it will be way faster after to work with all my parts. Okay, okay, like this. Fuel. Like that? I'm not sure. Okay. Turbo laser. I just need to add that. Oh, not in the good folder. Okay, then you see like this. Now it's easier and easier to manage. Oh, I need to put this one in the hull at least below. Okay. Okay, and I will stay with that for now. Okay, sorry for the small delay. I saw all of your 2B model and I fell in love with the process of 3D printing. Thanks to that, now I'm doing print commission for print. Well, I'm very happy to read that. At least I'm doing something which is useful. Well, I would love to do more figurines and things like that. It's mainly a matter of time because I'm really lacking time. But yes, I really love doing figurines. I have multiple projects of figurines. I started to do a new, I did some stream yesterday and a few days before on my personal Twitch channel and my YouTube channel in mix of French and English about a new bust, kind of, again, new Demon Queen type stuff. Then yeah. Okay, now about details. What I need to load is PureRef. It's been a while I didn't use PureRef. PureRef, which is a reference application. Let me just check that it won't overlap the camera. Okay, and I'm looking at some photos. Like this. Okay, yeah, doing these small lines, this type of connection in between. I would like to have a long reference of that. Let me pick in one of my photo. Well, I think I will start with that for now. Then I will do this type of tubes, and as you can see with the shadow, these tubes are not connected. I think they are just connecting on top. I will just connect everything, but not giving a distance. I want to connect everything because of the 3D printing process. I would like to avoid some issues with that. Let me give you that. My YouTube channel is in French for most of the videos, and my Twitch I can stream in both languages, French and English, and it's easier. Okay, okay, now let's move forward. Let's do these tubes. Alors, again, I'm saying I'm using some French words. Then this one, I will create a tower folder. Where is my sub tool? Am I blind? Okay. Sorry, I'm naming that tower. I know it's maybe not a real tower, but this is a name I know. Tower. Okay. And this one. Okay. Then to create this these tubes, I will use a lot the polyframe mode to have a better visibility. Okay, then for the tube, I will simply use a cylinder, and I will work on some extrusions to do this this part. Well, hi Dougie. Dougie is giving a very interesting comment. Sorry, this is off topic, but not that much off topic. Stop modding this and create Notre Dame of Paris. Instead, come on ECPC. PC, sorry. I have to say that it's been years that I want to build a cathedral in ZBrush. Perhaps not Notre Dame of Paris. There is nicer cathedral, in fact, in France. This big church, and I really love this place. I don't believe in God and things like that, but I really love this type of place. I really love this type of old constructions, the feeling when you are on these big human creations, and something I want to do. The problem is it's very, very massive, and I don't really know how I will handle something like that, because I know if I start to do such projects, I will go crazy with that. And yeah, it's but yes, I would love to do something like that. Not Notre Dame, but yes, big cathedral with the organ. I love organ. I love that as a music instrument. Then yes. In fact, sorry, this is totally off topic, but I was thinking, how can I build an organ? Not very sure. Organ pipe. Organ pipe, come on. Pipe organ, yes, thank you. A pipe organ, why this image is not loading? Yeah, I would love to do something like that and say, oh, perhaps you can do that in 3D printing. What would be the noise with a PLA pipe? I'm pretty sure it's very, very bad, but why not mixing some metallic part and PLA? This is really something I would like to experiment. Sorry, this is really off topic, and so far I didn't model anything. Then let's now move forward. Okay, cylinder 3D. Okay, we start with that, and changing my count to something lower. Initialize, because I don't want to have so many polygons. I will go to 12 and to 5 to something very basic. Why I'm using 12? Because I have one edge on each corner, which is better if I want to use a symmetry. Then I create a Polymesh 3D. As a subtool, I will copy it. I'm using a lot copy paste between my projects. And now I will paste it, which is added in this folder. And when I'm working with ZBrush, because I will work with symmetry or remesh or whatever, I'm always taking care of being on the positive axis. Because if I want to use, let's say, mirror and well, even if there is nothing on one side, we do on the other side, I always want to create on the good side of my working plane, then on the positive axis for the X right now. Then I will scale that, not rotate, scaling Thomas. Okay, I will change all of that. And the good thing with the Gizmo 3D is it will keep the orientation. Then I can rotate slightly to be as parallel as possible. I could do you see, I'm trying to rotate as much as possible. Sometimes it's not very easy. You can use transpose to have something more accurate, but I won't use it. I'm trying to be parallel now. And you see it's quite thin and this part is larger. Then I will go smaller and I will create. You see, I'm stopping. This is the top angle there. I have all these parts and it's connecting below. Then it should arrive roughly here. But below, it's going almost on the top of the opening. The opening is there and you have all these items below. Then I should stop roughly here. And let me scale that a bit more. Like this. Okay. And now for the top part, which is a regular cylinder, I will use my Z modeler with a smaller brush size. I will use QMesh flat island because this is flat. Or no, I will simply do something simply, always using simply, not always that easy. And as you can see, ZBrush, it's difficult to you see, detect the edges because my edge was very, very long. Then feel free to add some time, just a temporary edge, and then you can move it down like this. ZBrush will better in detecting all of these edges. It doesn't change anything in terms of visual aspect, but it's better for ZBrush. Then now I will QMesh a polyloop like this. QMesh, like I said before, this flat island. You see, like this, it should be roughly there. And below, it's larger and this part is flat and going roughly up to, it should be smaller, should be there, no, there, and it's going until this distance. Then I will do flat island. Now I will QMesh my polyloop, and I will flatten that after. Oh, sorry, flat island. And it's more on the side. I'm too close. See, I should change my rotation to be more on this distance. Then rotate. Like this. I think it's too... Now I need to change the width of this part. Like that. Why my gizmo is my swap of model. I understand now better. Okay, let me switch to solo mode. I will have to be easier to work that way. I just quickly select this part. Invert, and oops, I didn't do a good selection of my model. Like this. Yeah, I need to be sure it's symmetrical if I don't want to have some issues. Perhaps I need to remove that one as well. No problems to give force distraction. Yeah, it's even larger. I need to move down this edge, or moving up that one. And that's a problem when you are working with this long thing model and very large scene. You are spending your time rotating just to find the good orientation. And it's not specific to ZBrush. This is very common in a lot of software. Flat like this. And in fact, I think it's too thin. It should be larger as a model. And I don't know how it's connected below. Let me find some other references. Do I see that in Lightroom? Sorry, but that's the problem with such project, is you are spending your time switching between views and renders. It's more half. You see, it's larger and it's more half a part of a model. You see, then using some references has been a mistake. Then it's bigger, and I think I need to move that down like this. I can select that, and let's do an inflate. Where are you, inflate? Well, no. Inflate. No. Polygroup first. Polyloop. And I'm creating a new polygroup. And now I will inflate only this polygroup. Now inflate polygroup. Where are you? Polygroup all. And like that, I'm able to do my inflate and only this part, and not everything else. And this is where it's great to work with the ZModeler, is because you have a control on polygons. You don't have such issues. Now we'll insert some edge loops like that, and we saw it was kinda where are you, Lightroom? You see it's more kind of opening there, and probably the bottom part I should use my lasso for that. Move like this. This is where I'm more guessing than anything else. Polyloop, QMesh, polyloop. And this. Like that. My only problem when I'm doing this type of shapes is when I see it's even more on the side. I think it's still bigger. Let me use my mask lasso. Yes. You see a small deformation, but I don't care for that. It's really not a big deal at all. Okay, this shape, now I would like to rotate slightly. So I want to move. Here, but because I'm moving, I'm doing a small deformation, but it's really not visible at all. Okay. Now if I look at that, I guess I have some part connected inside, but I will look at that later. Yeah, I think my cylinder is too small on top. Flat island. Now I can do geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld, enabling my symmetry. And it should be connected. You see all the elements below are connected to this part here. I can do this type of small stuff here, which is quite easy. And I will start again with this cube. I will change my orientation. It's more cylinder. Like this. I'm keeping some thickness because I think it will go just deep and connecting to the model like this. Perhaps not that thick. Yeah. Here. Draw. Now I will doing an inset. Oops, sorry. Polygon. Inset. I'm removing my if you press Ctrl, you have a constant inset. I don't know if you know that because it has been added in ZBrush 2019. Then if you do an inset, you see the distance is not constant. If you press Ctrl, now your distance is constant. And now QMesh, a single polygon. Like this, and using dynamic subdivision, and I have my model which is ready to be used. Like before, subtool, I will copy, going back to my scene here, I will paste it, of course not on the good location. (190° rotation). You see a mistake I did is I have these steps which are the same constant one, but here I'm lacking some of them here. You see, I should have extra lines connected together. Anyway, I will fix that later. But it's roughly where I should have extra lines in between. Well, no, I'll fix that now. And I can select and Control key. I just need to have two of them. Interesting. This is where a mouse is not as good. Okay, like this. And now I can rotate to be aligned. See, I want to be sure it will intersect with the back side, and it's not thick enough. It seems to be not that thick, but well, I want to increase its thickness, and like that. Yeah, it seems to be not that thick. Perhaps this part needs to be more inside. I'm applying geometry, my dynamic subdivision. Dynamic, not a smooth one. I want to have a cube grid, but a very small coverage. You see, I have this type of rounded aspects, and perhaps my thickness is, I mean, it's not thick enough, I think. Then I can draw QMesh. Don't want to QMesh, I want to move. I don't know if move a polyloop will work. No, I thought it will move everything, but no, it does not. I will do something easier. Insets. This, and then I will polyloop with QMesh. Come on. Scale. See, like this. Okay. Hello, D3 crypt. This was crypt in French. Okay, now you see all these parts. It's not symmetrical. It has been just added and glued together. To do something like that, I won't try to use a remesh or something similar. And I think it's more higher. It should be more something like that. What I will do is I will simply control key and doing multiple copies like that. 3, 4. One is below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking if there is not something similar to this one somewhere. When I see all these small details, I just find that crazy. I just did few tubes and only these type of things. I think the line is different. In fact, there is no line. You see. Then this one is different. Then what I will do, I will use my QMesh and flat island. Why I have that here? Symmetry? No. I don't think I have the array mesh enabled for that. No, it's not. I know. I will do a simple single polygon. I know, I thought it was that. That's very interesting. Why it's connecting these polygons? I don't know. Anyway, now I can move that down. Okay, to be better that way. Well, model kernel, yeah, I think first of all, people who did this model, the Star Wars model, obviously they are not beginners, they are really professional, and they are used about doing this type of model kits. And this kit bashing is not something which is new. At this scale, I think this is something new for the model kits. The most difficult part is to find all the parts and see where you can connect them. But yes, you need, I mean, it's really crazy. Yes, you're right. I mean, not that much, but when you consider things, yes, it is. Okay, you see, I just did these two parts so far. It will take quite some time. Obviously, if I'm just not talking, but just creating things quickly, it will be way faster. Okay, now I will use another brush. Let me just remove my references for now. My insert mesh primitive. Okay, like this. Scaling, moving. You see, this is the part that I can see, which is rotated like that. If you look at the references, sorry, I just remove this type of line, which is located there. If you want to, I would like to do things which are, you see, it's not even symmetrical. This part and this part are not the same. If I'm looking at there, I mean, that's why, I mean, in 3D, it's easy to do symmetrical stuff. At this time, a lot of things are not symmetrical. You see this large part, yes, definitely they are, but all these things are different parts which has been done together. And this is, for me, the difficult part is how we can do things which doesn't look too much symmetrical, but without doing everything from scratch. And you see doing this top thing part, it's a lot of small triangles. I think most of my work is just finding, okay, what is difficult, what is not, and what requiring a lot of details or which doesn't require a lot of details. As an example now, I can, you see, because there is, if you see small cubes here and here, which will give more details. Now I can simply move that here like that. Duplicating that, it's not going below. And when it will be 3D printed, it will be something at this scale for my screen right now. Then it will be something like 1 millimeter. And it will be very small. But again, all these small details, which is what will give the richness of the final result. Okay. So far for this part it's done. I will do this. I think I will do this part below. Let me check if I have some better references. Yeah, this one, because this one is very specific and easy to do, this opening here. Okay. Start with a quick cube, initialize, quick cube. No, it's not a primitive. Okay, quick cube, and I will do x2 resolution 1 by 1. Okay, like this. Then I'm doing roughly the shape, and after I will refine. No, I would like to have an extra resolution for the z-axis, the y-axis too. Quick cube. Okay. It's quite long. Now I will split that part. Bevel to my B. Let me enable the symmetry. And I can move that triangle, not triangle, triangle, not triangle. Let me think. And okay, like this. Now I would like to inset region. Sorry, inset and inset region. I was not on the good one. Huh. Why ZBrush you do that to me? Come on. Okay, I will stitch two endpoint. Should have done triangle from the beginning. Okay, now I should be able to inset to have some thickness. I will do mirror and weld on the other side. Oh, no, perhaps not. Why I can't move my eye? Come on. Mask rectangle. Yes, I want to save. Okay, QMesh, polygroup, or something I need to take care is I want the same thing on the other side. Well, no. What I will do is I will keep everything being closed. I think I need to increase slightly the depth. And that, and I won't use QMesh but extrude this time. I'm always using QMesh, but I just want to extrude. I don't want to merge anything. Polygroup all. Okay, like this. As you can see, I have this type of small opening inside. Let me check here. See, I'm just modeling this one. Then I have all this opening, which has been just glue, but there is some mistakes. This shape there. Then I will insert. Insert. Edge. Thomas, come on. Why my symmetry is not... I remove my symmetry plane. Geometry. No. Okay. Now it will be better. Then I will QMesh. like this. I don't know if there is some, I guess some patterns on the bottom. For the patterns, I will insert IMM primitive quick cube. That I want to select all of this cube. I don't know if you know that, but when you are in move mode, if you press Control on the specific polygroups, you will isolate these models from everything else, which is quite convenient. I'm using Control key. I could use array mesh, but I know it's visually good like that, and I don't need to spend the time in that. I have 3 and 3, which is the same. Like this. I have some cylinder on the side. Cylinder like this. I have this type of extra things. You see, it seems that do we have a photo which is well, it's it's very blurry. Do we have other one which are perhaps better? Nope. I have nothing which is sharp as hell. You never have enough photos. Yeah. Okay, I will stick with that. Then draw. And like I said, this is here. Okay, like this. I will do my, now I'm using Joseph Drust brush, the IMM model kits, which is very convenient to making some part quickly, like these tubes and all this stuff. I don't know what I will use, because I'm thinking about the 3D printing aspect of things. Sometimes things which are too complex, maybe you see like that, it maybe looks nice, but I need really to consider, oh, my symmetry is on, and I don't want to have my symmetry on to insert this model. And scaling down. And this is really a kit bashing process now at this stage. I have this pipe. Like this. I will use another pipe. Oh. Sorry. And this is only for the trash. Hi Justin, I'm fine, you. Why do you duplicate those and space them out one row at a time and not use ZBrush auto space a piece once you duplicate first and use the control move? Yes, that's a good point. The only thing is I didn't know in advance what would be the distance until the end. Yes, I could have used let me show what you mean to other people. I could have select, say something like that, and now, I mean, since ZBrush 4R8 or 2008, 18, I don't remember, you press Control, like that you can do your duplicate. Now you release Control without raising the click, and then you can duplicate with the same distance at a quick distance your model. I could have done that, but I did not. I'm sorry. Okay. Now on the other side, draw. Some stuff doesn't really look like Star Wars. Then draw. See, it's very, very visual, because again, this part will be something like this size. Let me hide and the gizmo. You see, it will be something like this size. And the printer will be able to print small details, but it won't be that visible. And I need to be quite large in some parts to be sure that people will see it. I can do some random stuff, obviously, because I don't see what is inside, but you see I can insert some edge loops like this. Yeah, this is what I thought. I did a Q-mesh. See, like this. And why I'm spending some time, quite some time, on this part of the model, it's because for Star Wars nerds, this part is very, very important in a ship because of this story with Han Solo, like I explained at the beginning. Then that's why it's very important to sometime considering something like that. And why? Let me just increase slightly the thickness of that. Why? Okay. Sorry, I'm not always talking. Sometimes I'm more silent. Okay. Then let me just add some stuff on the top and doing the integration. I don't think I have some part which are model kit is more interesting, and I will start to do more and more props. The thing is, when I will do the 3D print of this part, I need to consider the part which will grow without, which will need some support to find the good angle to be sure that it will progress and not having some overhang. That's why you see I did this type of small angles to avoid having just things starting from a corner. And I really need to be very careful with that. To be sure it's working fine, what I can do is always opening a big cube. Where are you, my cube 3D? Cube 3D. Here. And let me scale it down to be bigger than this model. Put that as a negative mesh, and because this is a Boolean operation, you see I'm able to simulate the slice of what will do the printer, but I will print from one side like this, always with some angle. Then the printer will print something like that, first layers, and grow like that. And I need to be sure that everything is growing properly. Without parts which appear, you see, there. Be sure that it appears with a kind of progression. You see, there, I will need to have some support for this part. Then I may need to have my angle being on the other side, more like this. Because you see, now it's growing more in a progressive way. And it really does a difference. Because the more support you have, it's more resin that you need to use. And you see, because these small stuff are just perpendicular to the ground, I will have all these things will need to have a small support to start with. And that's why it's very important to consider all these type of things, meaning that if I want to avoid having supports, what I need to do is to be sure that this bottom part is not starting perpendicularly, but more starting on the side. Then this is where you need to really think about your model. Let me isolate something like that. Then if I want to be this one, I need to, let's doing that in a different way. The modeler, and I want to scale Flat island. It's scale from the center. Well, let's do that in another way. You see, if you scale like this, you give some angle. And I just need to, oh. I have the grid inside. I didn't thought about the grid. Gosh. Like this, and this one I need to move it more like that. And because my cube, I'm doing my Boolean operation with my cube now, I will do that on the other side like it was before. Sorry, it's a little bit technical, but now it's not. Yeah, I really need to rotate everything, but you see the bottom part is growing now the good way. I just need to avoid this top part. It's really important to change something like that, or based on the orientation I can trick things and doing something more, you see, just doing a scale like that, and this part won't be visible at all because this is the back side of the trash area. Now it should be better. Oops. You see, now I don't have a part which is growing alone, then without the need of support, and it should be the same here. Then I don't need to have supports anymore for this model. And I'm spending some time, and this is where I will need to think about all of that when I will prepare for the 3D printing, is to be sure that, okay, I don't have the need of a support which is in a part that I won't be able to remove the support later, or not being able to send, etc., etc. And this is quite challenging for this type of process. Okay. Not working on a quick model for today. Yeah, we just take a character for Star Wars and make a split sculpt of head. Yeah. Darth Talon. My PC specification. My PC now is something like 2 years old, perhaps 3 years old. It's an Intel i7 7700K, which is not overclocked, and I have 32 GB of RAM, but I have a fast RAM just to fit the CPU and the motherboard. I have 1080 Ti as a graphic card, but ZBrush doesn't use it at all, and I'm on a Cintiq 24 Pro 4K pen tablet. And I have 2 extra monitor, and in fact I have 1, 2, 3, 4 output on my video card. And Doogie, yes, I will print on SLA, not FDM. And I even thought about doing internal part in FDM in ABS, but no, I will use the the strong resin from Formlabs to do the internal part. Okay, now we'll stop for this part for now, which is for me good enough. I don't know the name in English. I will copy this one. I will just save it separately. Okay, and go back there. to be sure it will fit this part, and I will need probably to adjust this item. Okay, oh, I did a nice typo in French. Where are you? There. Something I need to check, I'm not sure, is it parallel or not? Oh yes, it's from the top, and then we have this area in front. Okay, this is what I was wondering. Yeah, I think it's slightly, no, it's not taller. Why it's not symmetrical? It should be on the center, but it's not. Okay, because I have this part, but around that I have this part, which is all around, which is more here. Okay, then to do this extra parts, I will simply duplicate these polygons there. Then to do that, I will select all these polygons. I will do a QMesh, a single polygon, but now I'll use a control key, which will do a duplicate of that, and I will now do a QMesh all polygons, not all polygons, polygroup all. You see, like this. And I would like to be just aligned with everything. Then this part, I will split it from the other part to be sure it's a separate subtool. And in a subtool split, I will do a split parts because it's separate model. Okay. Where did it split it? Oh. Where did it go? Oh, I'm in solo mode. Okay, like this. I will switch in transparency mode. Okay, and I want to flatten everything. To flatten, I will simply use my clip curve brush to be sure I'm aligned with this line here using spacebar, and now up like this. It just moved down slightly. I will move up. Well, it doesn't change a lot of things. Okay. What I need to think also now is I will need to print probably this part with all the details, and I will print this part separately. Then I will be able just to plug everything inside. And that's why I need to really consider all of that. And this bottom part is not, the depth is not enough. Okay, like this, more like that. Okay, Ah no, I thought it was not the height. I really need to improve my English accent when I hear to what I'm saying. I have some concerns. Okay. And I did that. I did this outline. Now I need to create this type of connection all around, and this bar on top. Solo. And what I want to do is unhiding, just keeping this one and this one. Okay, I want to hide this one. Okay, then well, my accent, I don't care if it's cute or not. I really hope is that you understand what I'm trying to explain, which is more what puzzled me. Now we'll do an insert multiple edges, interactive resolution. How many are that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 8 with the middle one. 8. Ooh. Flat. What do I forget? Interactive resolution. No, elevation, yeah. I don't want to have elevation. This is my mistake. Yeah, I mixed specific resolution by elevation. Okay, now I have my 8 elements. And 1, 2, 3. Insert. No, now this time I just want having one single one. Because what I did, it's a mistake, it's thicker. Sorry, I'm thinking at the same time. To mesh a single polygon. Oh. Forgot to insert the edge loop, that's why I have this problem. Okay, and now like this, and nope. trying to do something. Not sure it will work. Yeah. Inflate. I would like to reduce the length of this one the same way, and what I can do, don't want to move, scale, mesh center, polygon center, okay, like this. Okay, I knew it was possible. Okay, I just did this type of shape which is not as large. Okay, now like before, I would like to have something which is just vertical here, but if I'm inserting here, you see, I keep the angle. I would like to be a parallel to this one. Then I just need to insert an edge, but pressing the shift key like that, I know it's parallel to the other one. And this edge is not that far. Okay. Small extrusion here, inserting an edge which is that, move, doing a small bevel. My cat is trying to enter in the office. Okay. Now I'm trying to reorder everything. And that, and yeah, it should be not that tall. In fact, I'm doing some stuff which is roughly kinda approximate. I'm doing some approximation simply because in the real movie, as a model kit, they did also a lot of approximations. I will need to remove, obviously, from here this part, see, which is connecting to the shape, then draw. I will insert, and I will slide. Let me think. Let me display. Yeah, this one. Well, I'm just mesh this one, and if I'm not wrong, it's still inside of the mesh. What time is it? Ooh, it's time to stop. Okay, no, this one is not a good one. You see, it will be quite long as a project to do everything, because yeah, I want to do something which is good enough, but I think I need to speed up some process if I want to be able to do everything. Again, because my goal is to have that for the ZBrush Summit, which will be in September. Then it's quite a lot of things I need to do. I'm not concerned about the 3D printing process, because it will take some time, but I will anticipate everything. It's more doing all these small details, and I will spend some time between the streams to build a bunch of shapes that I will be able just to attach on the model. If I'm just switching to the side part, where you see, if you look about all of that, this shape and this shape and this shape, all of that, I will build a lot of them, like this one, these small grids. You see, these and these are the same. A lot of things like that. I will build a lot of small parts to be sure that I won't spend too much time during my stream to create this type of things. Obviously, we need to create some of them, but I don't want to create everything, because it will take a bunch of time. You see, even this line, I don't think I have it so far. I didn't notice it. You see, it's not even there. You see all these small lines that I want to rebuild. And of course, I will need to think about how I will split everything. You see, I have a small line in between. Then perhaps it will be just a line to connect left part and right parts for the assembly. You see, for me, it's really the problem is where I will split my model to fit in a luggage. And that's quite a concern for me. Yes, it's time to feed the cat. That's why the cat is just scratching the door. Seeing as there is so much detail, how large are the kit sections that are meshed, remeshed to be printable? That's a very good question, to be honest. Something about the printing process is, let me just go back on more. I don't have a very large global view of the model, perhaps more on the head. Okay, let's see. Again, because this is a massive model, I will need to print parts in elements. I will work mainly as a model kit, meaning that I won't print separately all this part, but I will print a kind of big plate, which would be this this shape like that, with all the details on top, and then at the end I will glue everything on the basic shape. I will just print large panel of things. Like I will have the top panel here, the front panel, the side one, bottom one, and gluing everything. And then on top I will put this part. I will do one part with all these type of connectors. And then I will connect to this main tower item, which also have some parts glued on top of each others. And same for all these panels. I will have a panel like this one, which will go around like this. And to hide the connection as much as possible, I will have these top parts on top that I will print, and I will put on top of them. And I will try to really think about how I will split things which need to be printed as a separate model, which need to be small enough to be considered as a detail and printed on top of the model. And same for the side views, the side of the model, connecting everything. This is really the way I will do that. And if you look at model kits, this is the way they are done. In fact, you have this part which are just done at one piece, and then you glue them on the biggest part. I will do exactly the same thing. And you see, you have a small line here, which is just the part has been put on top, and which is just glue on top of them. My main issue will be, like you see this one, I will probably cut my model for the front part and side part just on the border of this area, just to hide as much as possible. And then I will have, I think, a front part, a back part, perhaps in and each one, the front one in with the left side and right side. I need to think about luggage. In fact, what will fit in a big luggage that I can bring without taking risk, and having some buffer of space just to protect everything. And of course, inside I will have big, probably in metal, big cylinders, just to give some strength, to be sure when I will connect everything, it will fit perfectly first, and have enough strength to support the weight of everything. Because the white, it won't be that much. I think I will use something like without support, which is very important. I think I will use something like 3 or 4 liters of resin, which is not that much for the outside of the model, because I will do a lot of flat panel and not a lot of resin. Perhaps a little bit more with support, obviously. And inside it will be just empty. I will just do a structure with a strong resin just to connect everything together. And I need to think in advance about all of these fiber, these optical fibers, how I will connect to have a front and a back side, to be sure I will be able to split all these parts together. Then I need to think a little bit about the engineering behind this model. Then it's quite difficult, because what is the size? Is it at a good scale? Huh. No, I put 10 for 1 meter. Okay, it's 10 right now in terms of distance. Okay, for 1 meter, then I have 10 values. Anyway, when exporting, I multiply by 100 if necessary. It's not a problem. Then I'm at the good size. Then my luggage is something like 80 centimeter. Then of course it won't fit inside, but if I'm doing something like a part like this, which will be 40 centimeters for the length, and I'm splitting from left and right will be then 40 by 27. Then if I'm splitting that, this part will fit perfectly. And of course, if I'm doing this bottom part here, it will be fine. Obviously, I will need, because this back part is very important, this one will be printed as a single shape all together, to be able just to connect the back inside. And probably, you see, we have these lines here, which are separating the small detail here and this one. And obviously, I will cut in a way that I will connect from this part here. Then the tower, I think I will print this based as a single shape, the tower on top. I will just do separately these shield generators, to be sure I will be able to plug them, but being able to unplug them to put them in a small box because of the small antennas. This is the most fragile part of this spaceship, and I need to be very careful about the transportation. And then splitting all of that, and it should be okay. And all of these top items will be just one part that will be just to connect the left and right side of the bottom part. All this building aspect of things from the top, and perhaps the front part will fit as just one part, then plugging together. Of course, I will have a base below. I need to think obviously about all these parts, which are where from the TIE fighter are coming out, the shield generator, the bottom one, then how I will connect everything. But you see, it's a lot of things to okay, which type of Lego I will create big Lego with this big part to assemble everything. And it's not only the design, the visual aspect, but the practical aspect of transportation and shipping if I want, or something like that. Yes, I'm not using Scale Master to have the right dimensions. I'm not, I mean, it's a great plugin, but it's not my way of working. I really prefer working by avoiding messing up with the export value here inside of ZBrush. What Scale Master is modifying. Yeah, it's not my way of working. It's just that. But you can work with Scale Master. There is no problem about that. And yes, I will do all the electronics. For that, which is mainly LED light and fiber optic, and it shouldn't be very complex. I'm more concerned to find good LEDs for the reactors to be nice enough, to be a good nice blue, and it should be okay. Then see with the perspective now on, should be I hope a nice model with a lot of details. I will go as far as I can for the details, but I won't be able to replicate what you have in the movie. Obviously, it's not possible at all. Anyway, sorry, it has been a lot of talk and a lot of files that I had to load. Again, I will restart, we'll continue this stream at the end of the month. Unfortunately, I will travel in Japan starting next Monday, not this one in 2 days, but the next week. And obviously, I won't be able to stream the Sunday night because I will start again to stream the Sunday night from 12 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. Central European time, sorry, which was my usual spot. But since I'm leaving the Monday morning, I won't have the time to stream, obviously, a Sunday night. Then it will be the 26th of May, if I'm not wrong, but the last Sunday of May. I will continue, and in between I will stream two times on my personal Twitch and YouTube channel this model, because I really want to move forward, and I will alternate with some more organic. I will show you that if you want in a few seconds. Let me just saving my project first. Well, you know, this Senaru Kitsune, Senaru Kitsune, you really need to think about the process of how you will split your model, how you will do your 3D printing, because if you consider that in advance, it takes some time, but it takes way less time than if you are, okay, now I'm done, ready to be printed, I need to prepare my model, and then you notice that a lot of parts can be easily split, or you will need a lot of support in parts which are very difficult to remove. In fact, the more you split your model in multiple parts, the more control you will have on the support. And you remember, you see, I don't know if you joined the stream at that time, but when I did this part for the trash, this area, I explained that if you print this part, you will have some supports, and that's why you need to have some base which is not straight vertical perpendicular to the ground or the wall, but having some angles to be sure that it will print in a progressive way. But the best way to avoid that is, okay, let's split my model in two, printing two parts, gluing together and inserting that. And splitting in two is fast, and because it will be two parts, I can print everything upside, from the bottom to the top without dealing with any support at all. And this is probably what I will do. And because this part is inside, if I need to glue together and sanding a little bit, it won't be visible at all. It will be not a problem at all. And you see, the more you anticipate, the less issue you will have. The faster it will be to do the 3D printing process. And what is also very important to consider is you have the 3D printing process, but removing support takes some time. The more support you have on visible areas, the more sanding you will need to do. And sanding small details, small parts like that is always a pain. Then that's why the more you anticipate, less issue you will have, you see. And also for my personal stream, what I'm doing right now is, where are you, Misk? Okay, this is what I was doing yesterday night. This is totally different in terms of style. I'm doing this character, which is just a bust, I mean, of a character. Then this is what I will probably do tomorrow night, probably on my personal stream, just to continue this type of character, which will have a kind of armor on the arm and a big massive to hold, and of course working on the hairs, and right now this is mainly building the shapes and not really the detail. Then you see this is not really hard surfaces, it's way more organic, and then for that obviously you need to use a pen tablet and not your mouse like I'm doing right now. Okay. Anyway, then thank you very much for being with me for this stream tonight at least. It's midnight and 20 minutes so far in France. If you have questions, always feel free to contact me on the Discord of Pixologic. We have an official Discord. Let me give you the address. This is a great way to chat with that. Where are you inviting people? No, I don't want to have an expiration date. Okay, then this is a Discord channel. I'm on Discord. Please notify me. I'm under the nickname Pixo Thomas, but I'm in the administrator of the Discord. You can find me because if you have questions, it's easier to send me some images, and like that I can answer the question. And we are multiple people from Pixologic, obviously, in this Discord channel. And also then you can join me on my personal stream, then twitch.tv/policecult. Sorry. Mother Kenya has been kind enough to to share my links above. I'm just copy pasting. Sorry, Mother Kenya. My links. Anyway, thanks a lot, and see you hopefully in on my personal stream or later in this month for the next part of this Star Wars Destroyer. Thank you very much. Bye bye.